All right, so as promised, I said I will be talking a lot more about these devices and how they affect our health, because now we know that there's a lot of evidence and science behind it, right? So I'm going to share some of the studies that have been out about it. I'm also going to share a lot about the international guidelines and what that means for most of us here in America, including other states. And then at the end, stay tuned because I will talk about what you can do to mitigate, to alleviate these issues, and even radioprotective plants, okay, that you can use or already have in your background that you can use to help with all of these things. So when we're talking about electromagnetic fields, we're talking about things like Wi-Fi, your cell phone, Bluetooth headsets, all of that stuff. And as you can see with this initial study here, that there is a potentially underlying cause for cellular damage, and it reduces tissue repair, which could lead to disease and impairment. So just think about when your body's having any issues, not feeling well, going through any disease process, recovery is going to be impaired, okay? And so again, highlights from that paper talking about how your immune system is specifically affected by your exposures to these electromagnetic fields. It can modulate and change your response in terms of how your immune system protects your own body, okay? And these cellular changes might be enhanced by other stressors as well. Now, specifically EMF exposure found to have changes in our reproductive endocrine hormones. So think about the children, gonadal development, so your sex organ development, for the fetuses in pregnant women, and fetal development. These are all affected depending on duration of exposure and the strength of the EMF electromagnetic fields. So it's really important to shield and reduce and avoid. And again, here with the immune function, okay, it stimulates allergic responses, inflammatory responses, as well as affects your tissue repair processes, and has been found to increase risk of various diseases, including cancer, okay? Because it also creates DNA damage. And so this paper was calling for more standards to be in place for exposures to these devices. And as you keep listening, you will see that there are other European unions that actually have standards that they publish for the amount of exposures for these things. Our bodies were not designed to have these things around us for this long. Now, another paper, specifically with this virus that has been around, radio frequency radiation, especially with 5G, and how that's connected to having diseases related to specifically this virus, okay? And so when we're looking at this, there's even more that came out about how it specifically affects our cells. Here it talks about there's changes to your erythrocytes, which are your red blood cells, and how they clump together. Okay, so think about that. And when that's happening, it impairs circulation, okay, and your hemoglobin levels, which gives us oxygen, becomes lower, so there's less oxygen to the cells. And when you think about even hypercoagulation, think about things like strokes and how that affects your heart with myocarditis. So you can see here, number 6, it worsens arrhythmia, so your heart rhythms can be disturbed. Okay, amplifies immune system dysfunction, causes cellular oxidative stress, and with increasing intracellular calcium, which the electromagnetic fields do, can increase viral entry into the cells. Okay, so there's different organizations now that you can go and look up that talk about the cancer risk from electromagnetic fields. And the working group here, I'm talking about the International Agency for Research on Cancer, calls it possibly carcinogenic to humans. Again, related to the amount of exposure, the duration, okay, but it's carcinogenic. So think about how often we are exposing ourselves and our children to these, especially when it comes to leukemia. Okay, so do your research. There's many, there's a lot of stuff about it out there right now, especially when you look more towards European countries, because their standards for exposure are a lot lower than ours here in the US. You can look at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, okay, and even the US Environmental Protection Agency as well. They will have numerous more information about that. Okay, so again, think about reducing your exposure and the things that you can do, which I'll talk about. I just want us to take a really brief look here at how this is actually a big issue, because on an international level, there are papers, there's policies, and there's guidelines. This particular table lists different countries, most European. There's almost no African country on here. They have their different things that they're worried about. But on number 24, it says the power frequency for the US is set as 60 hertz, but there's no federal regulation in place. There's limits in some states. Same thing here if you see these numbers set for all these countries, but look at the USA with the blanks and it says number 18 again, no legal limits for workers. American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, they've recommended a limit, but that's not even being monitored at this time. But you can see here 5G and cell towers in all the different countries and how there's a worldwide policy on this because these countries recognize the dangers that this has on our health, okay? There's a governments that measure radio frequency radiation level and actually make them public. Countries with bans on mobile phone ads that are targeted to kids because they do not want kids using these devices. These are a future generation of people and what's it doing to their bodies and their brains. Okay, countries have bans on the sale of phones actually designed for kids, and there's countries with these limits on the exposure for kids as well. Governments that test cell phone compliance. That's why France banned one of the iPhone models recently because it surpassed that. Okay, so now we go to what you can do. Different things you can do, and then we'll go into the different herbs that actually with science have been shown to be radioprotective on the body. And again, you don't want to just go take the herbs. The first thing you want to do is detox. So avoid and reduce your exposure. Put shields on appropriate devices. So the first thing we can do, make sure we're breathing out in nature. Go out in nature, breathe, alkalize your body, okay? That's why when you go to neighborhoods with a lot of trees, you don't get a lot of Wi-Fi connection. Your signal is low. It's because it's radioprotective. So please, let's stop chopping down these trees because we do need them, okay? Not just for oxygen. Again, restful sleep because your body can recharge and regenerate. These devices in the bedrooms will hinder your body from going into the right frequency for you to be in a restful phase of sleep. So take the devices out of the bedrooms and unplug any unused devices at bedtime, okay? Keep those electrical outlets unplugged if you can. Then when it comes to Bluetooth headsets, corded are always better. It's been shown time and time again. You know, with the Bluetooth headsets, the limits exceed over 15 and you go over 0.5, that's where cellular damage begins. With the corded headsets, we keep it low at about 0.2 to 0.3. So you want to use corded headsets, okay? Barefoot grounding, I talk about this all the time on the earth. Where you have older trees, it's always better. It helps release all that negative ions, reduce inflammation in the body. Grounding is actually called a natural doctor, just like sleep. So you want to do some of that to help your body reset itself more often than not. All right. And then next, we're going to talk about forest therapy. This is now being recommended by a lot of physicians that helps the body. Again, inflammation, even high blood pressure, asthma. These helps with your tissue repair, your body's tissue repair that is actually hindered by these electromagnetic field frequencies as well. All right. And then next we go to shields and things that we can use to actually reduce the amount of radiation coming on the body. And there's numerous ones. If you're interested in this, send me a DM. Come in for a consultation and we can talk more about it, or we can send you some of the things we use. You can put it on your computers, on your phones. You can wear them on your necklace like a pendant. There's actually watches. There's covers for your Wi-Fi routers at home as well. All right, and then you want to detox from your devices, even if it's like once a week. Take some time away from it. I'm actually want to advocate for a day that we call a device detox holiday in the world. I think would be nice. Or you can also try our 5-day detox breathe sessions as well, okay? But take a day off every once in a while and just get off of your devices. And then lastly, we're going to look into some of the herbs that have been shown and tested for radioprotective activity. And I know these are in funky names here, but there's even things like ginger and garlic and all that great stuff that God just knew we can use to protect ourselves, right? These herbs have been studied and found to be radioprotective. So we have ginger. I know we all have ginger. This is a study showing that it's actually radioprotective from high doses of radiation, right? And then next on the list is long pepper, okay? So that long black pepper, again, Radiation-induced damages in mice were significantly reduced with these. Usually people use this with like turmeric, which is also anti-inflammatory. Garlic, and more garlic. We already know it helps our immune system. Again, studies showing they are radioprotective. And then we have things like the Indian bale, which might be more common with maybe Ayurvedic type people, but this helps even help your lymphocytes, okay? And then, which is your white blood cells. Peppermint, we all have peppermint, okay? Protects vital radiosensitive organs, especially the testes, your GI tract, and your blood cells. Turmeric, again, anti-inflammatory, wonderful. You can use it to cook. You can get it as a supplement, but again, shown to be also radioprotective. Rhodiola, which is an antioxidant, anti-aging, used as an adaptogen most of the time. It's also radioprotective. We have lots of herbs, people. The Indian gooseberry, again, very great for limiting the effects of these 5G radiations on our cells. We also have gotu kola, which has been known as an herb of longevity, very common with Asian culture and Chinese medicine, but also good for brain health, actually. And then I think we have a few more to go over with holy basil, tulsi, also radioprotective. We talk about sea berry, that's also radioprotective, okay? So lots and lots of plants that we can use regularly in our diet, that we can cook with, be more aware of, that we can use to help with these radio frequency devices. All right, and so last but not least, I want to play this here for you as a hospital that's taken an active step.
Στο Μακάριο Νοσοκομείο προφυλάσσουμε τα παιδιά από την ακτινοβολία της ασύρματης επικοινωνίας, ιδίως των κινητών τηλεφώνων και του Wi-Fi. Ο Παγκόσμιος Οργανισμός Υγείας το 2011 κατέταξε την ακτινοβολία αυτή ως πιθανώς καρκινογόνα για τον άνθρωπο. Σύμφωνα με νεότερες επικυρωμένες έρευνες, η μακρόχρονη έκθεση στην ακτινοβολία αυτή είναι πιθανό να προκαλέσει και άλλες σοβαρές επιδράσεις στην ανάπτυξη και λειτουργία του εγκεφάλου, του αναπαραγωγικού, του ανοσοποιητικού και άλλων συστημάτων του εμβρίου και του παιδιού. Να προκαλέσει καταστροφή των νευρικών κυττάρων και του DNA, διάσπαση της προσοχής, διαταραχές στη μάθηση και άλλες νευρολογικές παθήσεις. Τα παιδιά και τα νεογνά, ιδιαίτερα τα πρόωρα, είναι πολύ ευάλωτα και πρέπει να τα προφυλάξουμε. Γι' αυτό, βασισμένοι στη διεθνώς αποδεκτή αρχή της προφύλαξης, στους αλάμους εντατικής θεραπείας παιδών και νεογνών του Μακάριου Νοσοκομείου, αποσυνδέσαμε το Wi-Fi. Χρησιμοποιούμε μόνο ασφαλές ενσύρματο διαδίκτυο, συμβουλεύουμε όλους όταν πλησιάζουν τα παιδιά να βάζουν τα κινητά τηλέφωνα τους σε λειτουργία πτήσης. Έτσι, φωτογραφίσουν και διασκεδάζουν τα παιδιά με μουσική και βίντεο, χωρίς να τα εκθέτουν σε επικίνδυνη ακτινοβολία. Γιατί τα παιδιά έχουν δικαίωμα στην υγεία.
Η υγεία είναι δικαίωμα. Είμαστε στερείτε.
Είμαστε περήφανοι για την πρωτοποριακή αυτή έρευνα που γίνεται με την επιστημονική καθοδήγηση και συνεργασία της Εθνικής Επιτροπής Περιβάλλον και Υγεία του Παιδιού. Καταφέραμε να μειώσουμε την έκθεση στην ακτινοβολία σε αποδεκτά επίπεδα ασφάλειας και θα συνεχίσουμε.
Μαζί δείχνουμε το δρόμο. Και το Μακάριο Νοσοκομείο εξελίσσεται διεθνώς σε μια πρότυπη όαση υγείας και προφύλαξης των παιδιών από την ακτινοβολία. Γονείς, μάθετε και εσείς πώς να προφυλάξετε τα παιδιά σας στο www.pedi.com.cy σήμερα.